Mr. Young is recognized.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a very important issue. In a way, I'm glad that my colleague has brought up this amendment. It provides an opportunity to talk about the importance of trade in sort of a broader context. This is, of course, about U.S. showing its economic leadership. This is, of course, about providing jobs and better opportunities for Americans. This is, of course, about selling to the roughly 95% of the world's consumers and facilitating means to do so. This is far broader than the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which we hope will be consummated by the end of the year. There are, in fact, other important agreements. TTIP was mentioned, which comprises, between the United States and the European Union, over 50% of the world's gross domestic product. To the extent we can cement economic relations between our different countries and regions, that will redound to the benefit of all Americans. There are, in fact, other agreements which will take longer to consummate, longer than 18 months. WTO agreements, the environmental goods agreements, TISA, the Trade and Services Agreement. So we need more time, we need more certainty, but we need to send a message. We need to send a message to the world during this time, frankly, when there's apprehension about U.S. global leadership, that the United States remains a global power. The United States intends to stay engaged, not just militarily in the world, but economically, diplomatically, in a humanitarian capacity, and all the other various capacities in which the U.S. has long shown global leadership. Trade is an essential component to these various instruments of power that we have. TPA is about asserting our global role. We send the wrong message here if we try and narrow this current legislation to an 18-month period. Don't take it from me, take it from President Obama's former national security advisor. Happened to be my commandant when I was in the Marine Corps. General Jones, earlier this week, wrote the following: "Trade runs right to the heart of international security in the 21st century. Maintaining global stability, essential to America's peace and prosperity, is no longer a function solely of our ability to deploy and defeat, but rather of our capacity to engage and endow, and ultimately to turn promise and opportunity into jobs and a higher quality of life. By leading on trade," he says, "the United States tightens our bonds with allies around the globe, strengthens our influence in would-be hotspots, and fosters greater global stability through expanding economic cooperation." In the Pacific context, this is a genuine pivot. There are geopolitical implications to consummating a Trans-Pacific Partnership, but I'll say there are also geopolitical, geostrategic implications to further strengthening our relationship with the NATO powers. There are geopolitical, geostrategic implications to finishing these other environmental agreements, World Trade Organization agreements. You know, Secretary of State Cordell Hull, long ago, said that, and I'll quote him, said that he came to the belief that if we could increase commercial exchanges among nations over lowered trade and tariff barriers and remove international obstacles to trade, we would go a long way toward eliminating war itself. Now, he may have overstated that, but I think we go, I think we do a fair amount to advance that notion. People that have incentives to trade among one another, people who do commerce with one another, are less likely to fight. It applies in neighborhoods, it applies in states, it applies within countries and between countries. This is why we need more certainty. This is why the United States of America needs to lead. This is why it's important that we not curtail this to an 18-month extension. I have great respect. I want to reiterate for my colleague, Mr. McDermott, he's an earnest man. I believe he has deep conviction in offering this amendment. I believe it's deeply wrong, and that's why I rise to speak against it.
Gentleman yields back.